Mafia wars. There's definitely a lot of psychology here, because if someone had said, hey, we're going to make a text-based Mafia game that's going to make over $100 million, you'd say, I don't think you'll do that, right? But then they went ahead and didn't care, and they did it anyway, right? And so what's the psychology here? Well, the psychology is it's Facebook, right? It uses your real friends. It's not just a virtual world anymore. It's your real friends. And you're playing, and it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's my real friends. But then hey, my real friend is better than me. How can I remedy that? Well, I could play a long time, or I could just put 20 bucks in. Aha! And it's even better if that 20 bucks that I put in validates something that I know is true, that I am greater than my college roommate Steve from back in the day, and then I can verify that. And then you combine that with the psychological idea that anything of rationalization, anything you spend time on, you start to believe, this must be worthwhile. Why? Because I've spent time on it. And therefore, it must be worth me kicking in 20 bucks because look at the time I've spent on it. And now that I've kicked in 20 bucks, it must be valuable because only an idiot would kick in 20 bucks if it wasn't. Okay. So there's a lot of psychological cleverness going on with these things. And it's interesting to think about, we all talk about, oh, finding the fun, and we thought of fun ideas, and we thought of clever game ideas. But who does brainstorming for new psychological locks and keys? Not very many people do that, and that's something worth thinking about. Are there new psychological angles that you could find? Because every single one of these has succeeded off a clever psychological angle. But there's more than that. There's something else these have in common, not just these psychological tricks. What these all have in common is they are all busting through to reality. We're used to, in the old days of gaming, it being all about fantasy. It's all about fantasy. Bing Gordon used to say, we don't care about realism in games because people come to our games to escape from reality. And so we have this strong belief that fantasy is the thing. But every single one of these is breaking through into reality in some interesting way. And we don't feel good about reality as game designers. We're a little uncomfortable about reality. We talk about realism, and well, we know, yeah, realism can make your game better sometimes if it's the right kind of realism, but normally we're thinking about visual realism. But there's all these other kinds of realism that can come into the game. And that's what all of these had in common here. All of them are coming through into reality in some way. Guitar Hero, you're playing a real guitar, and Webkins with a real stuffed animal, and even the Xbox achievements, it's like outside the reality of the game. There's a higher level scoring system. But it's not just us that we're kind of snuck up on by this reality thing, and it's not just happening to us. Go look at TV. The people on TV, their heads are spinning. Everything's turned into reality TV. Go to the grocery store. It's not just groceries anymore. It's organic groceries. The more genuine, the more real groceries. You go to McDonald's and a Big Mac. Well, you could get a Big Mac, or you could get the real burger, the Angus burger, made with real this and that and whatever. Everything's suddenly about reality. Now, what's going on? Is this just how it's always been? Well, I found this really interesting book called Authenticity. It's by the guys who wrote The Experience Economy, for people who know that book. And Gilmore and Pine put forth this interesting concept that the most valuable thing in products today is, are they real? Are they authentic? Which is a bold hypothesis. And then they go further and they say, well, now why is it? Why now? It didn't always used to be this way. Certainly that's not what sold stuff in the 80s, right? It wasn't reality and authenticity that sold stuff then. What is it now that people are demanding reality, demanding authenticity? And they're arguing that all this virtual stuff that's been creeping up on us over the last 20 years has really cut us off from nature. We're cut off from nature. We're cut off from self-sufficiency. We couldn't be self-sufficient if we wanted to. We don't know how to do it. We live in a bubble of fake bullshit. And we have this hunger to get to anything that's real. Even if the best we can do is a Starbucks mocha with real Swiss chocolate, we'll take it. Oh, it's real. Look how real that seems to me relatively to what I'm used to. And so there's this idea that maybe there's this hunger for reality. And you might believe that, you might not, but once I read this authenticity book, I started seeing it everywhere. Everywhere I looked, every ad was about, about their product being the real one. And I, go to see the movie Avatar. And you might say, oh, Avatar, well, that was, cool special effects, and it was really a lot of fluff. But it's the movie that's made the most money of all movies of all time, and it's got a good shot at Best Picture. And what's this movie about? This movie is about the question of, we know technology cuts us off from the real world, and the movie addresses the question of, can we then use that technology in order to penetrate back into reality and back into something genuine? So it may be this movie is not just fluff, and maybe it really is resonating with something important for people. Anyway, so back to these things. Now, you might say, well, now wait a minute, I'm not sure I'm buying all that authenticity stuff. It may very well be that technology is actually going to fix this through unification, because we all know technologies converge. There's a bunch of crazy things going on, but convergence is happening. Facebook is coming to the Xbox. Pretty soon, set-top boxes and game consoles are going to merge. There's going to be one happy box. Just like we used to have it in the old days. Remember when there was one happy box and we made games for it, and that's how it was? And because technological convergence will take us there, and all this stuff right now is just a temporary blip, and we're going to have technological convergence. And I'm here to tell you that technological convergence is total bullshit. It is not how the world works. Technologies do the opposite. Technologies diverge. They do not converge. They diverge like species in the Galapagos Islands. They branch out and branch out and branch out. Your VCR wasn't able to record radio programs, and your TiVo can't record stuff off the internet. I just got a flip video thing, and I'm like, how do I take pictures? They're like, no, video only. I'm like, oh, okay, because that's what technologies do. They diverge, they diverge, they diverge. So we're going to have all this divergence. More and more technologies diverging. And you might say, no, wait a minute. That's not true. I have an iPhone. I have an iPhone, and it's convergence all over the place. It's a phone. It's a camera. It's got a zillion little apps. It's a game thing. And I'll say, okay, you got me. You got me, but only because of the pocket exception. Pockets turn the law of divergence inside out. Not the pocket, but the law. And this is not the first time, right? Remember the Swiss Army knife? Right? All the iPhone is a modern digital Swiss Army knife. Right? And a Swiss Army knife is really useful in your pocket. Look at all that stuff converged in there. But if I got you one for your kitchen, you'd think that was the stupidest thing ever. Because it doesn't fit in your pocket. And this is why everyone hates the iPad. It's a giant digital Swiss Army knife, which is just stupid. Okay, anyway, so beyond technology, there's all these other ways that games are creeping into places we didn't think about. Fantasy football's been around forever. It used to be a nerdly game for nerdly nerds. Now everyone plays it. Your grandmother probably plays fantasy football. Like, everybody is playing it. It's just everywhere. It's a game that leeches off a game. Geocaching. Because it's cooler to go for a walk in the woods when there's a treasure chest at the end. The Simpsons had their 20th anniversary, and Fox said, we're going to do a scavenger hunt. In each of the shows we have this week, we're going to hide a Simpsons reference in every show. Watch all the shows, find the references, and we'll give you a prize. Watching television became a game. DARPA wanted to figure out what are people able to figure out through crowdsourcing, so they made a game. They put these red balloons all over the country and said, let's see who can find them first. And everybody raced to find the red balloons and did DARPA's research for them. Weight Watchers, they have this whole point system, which is very much like a game. And if anybody has the new Ford hybrid car, okay, I got it. It's got a speedometer, and then it's got a gas gauge. And what are those leaves? What the hell is that? The more gas you save, the more the plant grows. They put a virtual pet in your car, and it changes the way people drive. Games have crept out, and they're going everywhere.